Hi, welcome to the another video. Here in this particular video, I'm going to share one of my recent interview for DevOps role, and the experience range was 3.5 years, and it was a first technical discussion. So I will definitely share a kind of clear-cut questions as well as the responses also, and some tips as usual we speak in every video end. Okay, so without further ado, let's enter into the video. So first of all, I need to set a certain expectation out of this particular interview. Why? Because there is a people who are preparing for the interviews. So you may expect this kind of exactly this kind of questions in your interview also. So what I suggest was try to watch the video till end, and also try to answer yourself, and try to fit yourself in that position, like what exactly you will do if you are in that particular situation. You might be having like 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, or more than 3 years also, like 4 to 5 years, like that you can expect similar questions. Okay, but if you have more like years of experience, obviously the questions will be more into scenario based questions. Like apart of asking the introduction, they will proceed with instead of do you know this like that, they will give more scenario. They will give a scenario, and they will ask to tackle that situation. Okay, so yeah, obviously you will get kind of a new experience out of this. Okay, and it was a first technical round, as I said, and there are two panel members actually. Okay, so these are the questions which is asked by first panel member, and I will definitely share, definitely point out from where the second panel member asked. Why? Because first panel member mostly focused on DevOps and Kubernetes, Docker majorly, and Linux part also, and second person focused on security and more some scenarios. Okay, so it was a one of the product company, kind of mid-sized company, CureBay the name was, and they have their own product that was into medical domain. Okay, so yeah, without further ado, let's enter into the video and have your discussion. As usual, the first question was tell me about yourself, day-to-day activities, and in your current organization. You can answer in such a way like I have around 3 to 3.5 years of experience into DevOps and DevSecOps. I was primarily working with AWS as a cloud provider, cloud platform, and my role involves automating the infrastructure provisioning, managing the CI/CD pipelines, and handling the Kubernetes workloads, and implementing the security best practices across the pipeline. And on daily basis, I start with checking the health checkups of our production environment, and reviewing and monitoring the dashboards by using Prometheus and Grafana. Also, we used to have a CloudWatch, and then we used to check your emails and any notifications, and also we handle your incoming change requests and merge pull requests after the code review, and ensure the deployment are gone through our whatever the pipeline like Jenkins and GitLab. And I work closely with the developer team and to troubleshoot any deployment issues, or to optimize the Docker image size, and manage the secrets securely through the pipeline by using external secret manager like AWS Secret Manager or Vault. And security is the key part in my responsibility. I run the vulnerability scans on containers, source code, by using different tools like Trevi, Snake, Fortify, and I regularly audit the IAM roles and security groups. I was also involved in writing the Ansible playbooks, and for configuration management, and Terraform also for automatic infrastructure creation. And yeah, let's move to the next question. Did you work in multi-cloud environment? Yeah. Did you work in multi-cloud environment or any specific cloud have you work experience with? Actually, the interviewer wants to understand like what exactly the cloud knowledge I have primarily worked like that. I primarily have a hands-on experience with the AWS. I have um, like different services exposure in that, and I also have a fundamental understanding of Azure and GCP. My primary cloud will be the AWS, and I have extensively worked with like different services in AWS like EC2, Lambda, ECS, EKS, S3, VPC, CloudWatch, and IAM roles. And move to the next question. In the current project, are you working on-prem servers or cloud management? So they wanted to understand like what exactly the project exposure, real way exposure I have. Okay, actually in my current project, sorry, in my current project, we do have a hybrid environment actually, like a cloud plus on-prem, and the primary workloads run on the AWS EKS cluster, EC2 based services, but we also maintain a on-premise servers in our data center as well for certain legacy applications and security workloads that connect. There is a certain security concerns that cannot be connected or moved to a public cloud due to the some security and compliance requirements. For the on-prem side, we used to handle deployments via the Jenkins and Ansible automation, and we used to secure the SSH access through the jump server. And moving to the next question, can you give your on-prem data center infrastructure overview, and what exactly do you actually you do as a DevOps engineer? Using which tool are you connecting with virtual machines? How the process is happening? So the interviewer wanted to understand what exactly the infrastructure I worked on. Okay. So in our on-prem data center, we has a mix of virtual machines. VMware virtualized server and bare metal server also, bare metal machines also. Okay, so networking is segmented with VLANs for security, and we have a centralized firewall, Palo Alto, which is controlling the ingress and egress. And as a DevOps engineer, I manage the application deployment lifecycle. I used to automate the configuration changes via the Ansible and integrate these deployments with Jenkins CI/CD pipelines. For virtual machine connectivity, we have connected by using a Bastion host for SSH into a production virtual machines. We use Putty also, and like Mobile XTERM also as SSH client if connecting from virtual machines. In some cases, there is an in-house console. Sometimes we used to have a web-based in-house console that acts as a gateway for virtual machine connections. The process is like a PR merge triggers the Jenkins build pipeline, and Jenkins calls the Ansible playbook to deploy the artifacts to the correct on-prem virtual machines. Post the deployment checks are performed via the scripts and monitoring tools also. Okay, so we used to manage, our flow is like this. And the next question was, how is the CI/CD pipeline happening any code changes, let's say if pull request is happening or change request is coming, how are the changes are deployed into a data center virtual machine? So let's say when a developer raises a pull request, the code is reviewed and merged to the main branch by the lead or manager. Okay, basically lead does this, and the merge triggers the Jenkins pipeline. We have set up a GitHub webhook, okay, and Jenkins pulls the latest code from a Git and runs the unit tests and builds a Docker image if if that was applicable. If we no need to build a Docker image, we need to just build a compile that and build a jar file or war file. We used to do the same. Okay, then the artifacts are stored in the Nexus a repository, and the Docker image is stored in a Docker Hub registry. Okay, and for on-prem deployment, we use the process is the Jenkins triggers an Ansible job that SSH into a target virtual machine and deploys the updated code into that particular target virtual machine, and the configurations are applied via the Ansible roles, and the services are restarted gracefully by using a system D or some Docker commands. Okay, and then we used to monitor your dashboards and check the post deployments, like what is the performance or error spikes. Okay, this is how what exactly the a pipeline is flow. What kind of tools are you using for SSH into a virtual machine? Any third-party tool or in-house console is available? So it is a question regarding the on-prem virtual machine, how the SSH, how we are connecting into that. We use MobiXterm and Putty both for Windows-based SSH connections, and for a native SSH command on Linux or Mac, we used to do that. Sometimes Bastion host is mandatory for production access, and we use in-house access management portal for integrated, that has integrated with LDAP credentials for session logging purpose. For automated deployments, Ansible is used with internally, basically that uses a internally SSH to connect with the missions, whatever the target virtual missions is there. And moving to the next question, tell me a command. This is just a kind of scenario there where he was asking a command. Okay, tell me a command. You just SSH into a virtual machine. You need to create a user named dev user. Okay, you also have to give a root, that means sudo permissions. What is the command to do this? Okay, so basically we need to SSH into a virtual machine, and we need to create a user. They have a sudo user permissions also. What exactly the command? Basically, to create a user, we can use a sudo add user dev user. In this case, sudo add user and whatever the username, dev user. Okay, and then we need to add that user to a sudoers group. Okay, the command will be same sudo usermod -ag sudo and whatever the username is there, that is the one. Okay, and yeah, and moving to the and also there is a kind of alternative where to directly edit the sudoers for fine grained control, we need to just sudo vi sudo And then we need to add the following line, like dev user all equals to all, and no password equal no password, and colon all. That means it will give you sudo user, and it won't ask for password. Okay, and yeah, and the next question was what is the command in Linux to check the CPU utilization, and also the following question, like disk utilization also. Basically, the first CPU utilization, and I mean for everything we can use the top. Okay, for specific. I mean, let's say only CPU we need. Okay, in that case we can use ls CPU. Okay, if you use top and htop, that will give like what is the live CPU usage. Okay, and htop is basically for better top. Okay, for better data purpose, and ls CPU is basically what exactly the detailed CPU architecture information it will show. It will use. Okay, it will show. Basically, whenever you are saying in your interview, be specific. Okay, so say this particular command for CPU utilization, ls CPU, and for disk utilization, it is for CPU. Okay, and for disk utilization, you need to say df-h. Okay, it is for disk. And for memory, it is free, memory or RAM, we can say free-h. Okay, one moment. For memory, free-h. Okay, this is for memory, and this is for CPU, and this is for disk. Remember this. Like many interviews you may ask. Okay, and moving to the next question, as per your understanding, what is the Kubernetes? How it is orchestrated. Basically, he was asking to explain the like architecture or components of your Kubernetes. Okay, so basically in Kubernetes, I mean basically the Kubernetes is your open source container orchestration platform that automates the deployment, scaling, and management of containerized applications. In abstract, the underlying infrastructure and allows you to define a desired states via the manifest files, like YAML manifest files. The key architecture components include master and control node. Okay, there will be a master and there will be a controller, where master and controller and worker node. Okay, master or controller plane, and another one is worker plane. Okay, so in master or controller, we can say control plane. Okay, in control plane the components are like API server. Okay, API a server, a scheduler is there. Okay, and there is a control manager CM, and there is a etcd, and there is a cloud control manager CCM. Okay, these are the components in master or control plane. If you talk about the worker node, node runs the pods via the kubelet and container runtime. That means basically containerized. Okay, so in worker node there will be a kubectl, kubectl, and kube proxy and pod. Okay, pod will be there, kube proxy will be there. Kubectl, kube proxy, and and pod. These are the like components. We used to interact Kubernetes via the kubectl or sometimes Jenkins CI/CD pipeline, I mean CI/CD tools, and it automatically schedules your workloads and restarts the failed pods, and handles the rolling updates. Let's say for example, if node was down, Kubernetes reschedules its pods to other healthy nodes which is available, and maintaining a desired application availability. And moving to the next question, do you have hands-on experience with the Kubernetes cluster handling? Okay. Basically, I do have a hands-on experience of managing. I have worked with Kubernetes clusters both in AWS EKS and in on-premise setups by using KubeADM. My responsibilities include deploying and managing the workloads via the manifests and Helm charts. We also performed a cluster upgrades in EKS using a managed node groups, and monitored the cluster health by using a Prometheus and Grafana monitoring tools, and managed the role RBAC, we can say, rules and service accounts for secure access. We also troubleshooted the pod failures by using kubectl describe and kubectl logs commands. We scaled the applications manually and with horizontal pod autoscaler, HPA, we can say. I have been involved in migrating the workloads from on-prem to Docker Swarm. Basically, we use Kubernetes. Okay, Docker Swarm is also an alternative, which required creating a manifest file, setting up a config map, secrets, and defining the network policies or some internal service communications. Okay, so yeah, I do work finally. Okay, and the next question was, in Ansible, do you have the capability? Do you have the capability of playbooks to integrate the entire flow from source code to manifest deployment? So he wanted to understand, like, by using a Ansible, is it possible from source code checkout to till deployment? Is it possible or not? By using a playbook, yes, it is possible. Like playbooks can orchestrate with the entire DevOps or DevSecOps flow. For, let's say, for example, pull the latest source code from Git. We can write the playbook in such a way, and in the next step, we can build the Docker image and push them into a target registry, let's say Docker hub, and then in the next step we can apply the Kubernetes manifest by using kubectl or Helm via the Ansible modules. And also we have used the Kubernetes community.kubernetes Ansible collection to directly apply the manifests or to manage the Kubernetes objects. And basically this will make the Ansible more into a hybrid environment to directly apply the manifests. In this particular case, like, it is like a hybrid environment, like we might need to build and deploy the code to a virtual machines, and then we need to deploy the Kubernetes workloads in the same playbook. We can in while answering, I have demonstrated the Ansible playbook also, deploy and by just writing a sample flow, by giving the name deploy to Kubernetes, and hosts will be like whatever the hosts. If it is a local host, we can specify the same, and the task under that we need to specify the name, what exactly the name apply, with name of the task we are achieving, and Kubernetes core gates. Under that we need to maintain a state and src. Okay. And moving to the next question, it is a big scenario question. Let me go through this first scenario. If you if you have a Jenkins building a Docker file and attaching the tag and adding it to a Docker hub, that means a Docker registry, When you see in the Docker Hub, the file size is 7 GB, which is too big. Now you wanted to reduce the size of the image, or as your configuration is troubling to deploy and it is taking a too much longer time than the expected, what is the best practices and steps will you take to reduce the size of this particular image? Okay, it is a kind of scenario based question, so you might oftenly get this kind of questions, so be ready to like express your thoughts or your understanding of this to provide this solution. Okay, so if you are not able to understand, try to like understand the scenario. Okay, so by that you will able to answer more clearly. And first of all, you need to understand the problem statement. Later you can what we can say, you can think about the solution what you need to answer. In this particular case, the large image size causes slow deployments and high storage usage. Obviously, I would follow some best practices. First of all, I used to choose a small base image like Alpine image. Okay, so it is kind of lightweight, we can say. Okay, instead of using some Ubuntu, if it is compatible. Okay, so that is the one best practice. And multi-stage Docker file. Okay, so by using multi-stage Docker file, we can compile, build in a in the one stage. Okay, so copy only the necessary artifacts into the smaller runtime stages instead of move. While writing the Docker file, instead of move, you can write the copy command. And also we can remove the unnecessary packages to avoid the installation. Installing the some unnecessary tools into the like whatever the target server is there. Okay, so that is the one thing. Whatever the required dependencies or tools are required, then that only need to be installed. Okay, so and also we can use a clear cache layer. We can use hyphen no hyphen cache. So basically that will by use that will run your commands to reduce the extra layers. Okay, and that will clear the cache. And we can also ignore the unnecessary files by using dot ignore. Okay, by using dot docker ignore, we can skip logs and temp files and some docs also. Okay, remember this docker ignore. And also we can optimize the dependency management. We can install only required dependencies, as I said above. Like whatever the unnecessary dependencies are there, we need to make sure to cross check and validate whether is it exactly useful in my application code base. Okay, this is the one thing. Okay, and the next question was the same kind of extension to that question only. He have added a note. Okay, after I saying the above best practices, he said like due to some logic of code, that means in the Docker file, it actually has a more size. What can be the other way? He gave a hint also. We need to modify a Docker file. What exactly will you modify in the Docker file in this particular case? Let's say if the application logic inherently produces a large build artifacts, we can compress the large files inside the image by using a gzip or some UPX for binaries, and we can store the static assets, that means images or media in a some S3 bucket instead of building that in the image. Okay, and also we can use base image, like lightweight base image. And also we can separate the installation into a microservice. So each image contains only what it needs, okay, and dependencies will be the in another application, okay, separate application into a microservices. And yeah, I think this is the thing I said. If you wanted to add more, you can consider of your like preparation and all. Okay, so the thing was, I wanted to say kind of be prepared for this kind of scenario based questions. So I see many questions like what kind of scenario based questions I may get in the interview, what kind of code they will ask in the interview. Okay, like that. For first question, this is the answer. This kind of scenario based questions you will get to know. Okay, and the next question was he gave one more scenario like there here we need to answer the command. Okay, you are accessing a Kubernetes cluster and wanted to list the deployments, but you noticed that the command lists the pods instead. You see that two pods are having the issue. One is out of memory and another one is crashed, something error. Okay, what command or commands would you use to troubleshoot these pods and determine the exact issue of their failure? What exactly the command you will use in this particular case? Okay, so in this particular case we can use we can use a command where that will describe your pod for detailed events like memory, some restarts, etc. Okay, the command was kubectl describe pod and pod name -n and namespace. Okay, and also we can check the logs to see the last output before the crash. That is kubectl logs and pod name -n namespace and hyphen previous. That will basically it will gives the last output before the crash. Okay, so and this is how we can achieve. And also we can use the let's say for out of memory issue we can check the resource limits. Okay, so basically in the first scenario out of memory, right? So basically here in this case I can use a kubectl get pod and pod name -m namespace name and o and yaml and I can pipe it and pipe and grep, and then like whatever the resources like resources colon. Okay, that will basically gives the resource limits. Okay, and also we can give -a5. Okay, basically a5 is like where exactly that was coming, the resource like metrics that will output pipe grep that will fetch the data. Okay, so once you can go through and also you can practice. Okay, and also we can review the node memory availability. Okay, like kubectl top node that will give the node memory availability, and kubectl top a pop -n namespace, that is also one of the command. Okay, so there are multiple ways to check and to troubleshoot. It's entirely depends upon your approach and your take on that. Okay, so yeah, let's move to the next question. What is the difference between logs and describe command? Basically as in our explanation also it came kubectl describe, kubectl logs, like that. Okay, so basically what is the difference it shows? Basically in kubectl logs it will shows the std output. Okay, standard output from the container inside the pod. Okay, the container will be inside the Kubernetes pod, right? So it's basically useful to debug the application level errors. Okay, logs will help to debug the application level errors. And if we see the kubectl describe pod, it will shows the resource status and events and conditions for the pod. like what exactly the resource state is, and what exactly the conditions for the pod, including scheduling the issues and restarts and out of memory kills. Okay, and if there is any readliness probe failure. Okay, it's more about Kubernetes side of the story. Okay, and logs is basically application side of the story. This is the basically like basic difference in between those commands. Okay, and what is the command to list the nodes in Kubernetes cluster? Okay, basically the cube, let me write here, kubectl get nodes. This was the command. Okay, basically it will list the nodes in Kubernetes cluster. Here I mean, it's kind of extension to that particular question only. Let's say if we wanted to see a detailed information of the nodes, okay, not only the list of the nodes, we wanted to detail the information of the nodes, not only the name but also the specifications of that nodes. What is the command you will use? Assume we have here 5 nodes and need all nodes information, all the 5 node information we need to get. In this case, we need to use the command kubectl get nodes -o and wide. Okay, basically that will give some more information, and for even more details like capability, allocation resource, and what is the conditions, we can use kubectl describe node and node name. For a specific node it will give. Okay, for all the nodes we can use kubectl describe nodes. That is the command we can use. Okay, kubectl describe nodes. For listing only get nodes, for detailed information describe nodes. That is the basic difference. Okay, and what is I think 1 minute. I think somewhere interviewer 2 came into picture. I'm just figuring out, remembering like what exactly the first interviewer. I think these are all the questions from the first interviewer only. Interview went around some 22, some 30 to 40 minutes in between that. Okay, what is the between logs? This is completed. What is the command to list the nodes? It is also completed. Okay, it is also completed. Yeah, here 19th question we are at. Okay, so can you share what what GCP features have you worked with or known? Okay, the main, I mean, while my main cloud service was AWS, I have like explored and have a understanding of GCP services also. I mean, the services are compute engine for managing, for virtual missions, we can say, launching and managing the virtual missions, and cloud storage for like it is similar to S3 bucket in AWS. GKE, Google Kubernetes engine for managed deployments, Kubernetes clusters setup and deployments. IAM also for managing permissions and services. Cloud build also in Google. It is like CI/CD pipelines. It is native to the GCP, Google Cloud provider. Okay, and what is your primary cloud? As I said, AWS is my primary cloud. I have worked extensively with services like AWS EC2, S3, EKS, Lambda, CloudWatch, IAM, UAPC, and RDS services. And moving to the next question, what is the Lambda in AWS? Basically, a Lambda is the one of the service which is a serverless compute service. When we run the code without provisioning or managing the service, you upload your function code. We can define a trigger like S3 uploads, API gateway calls, or CloudWatch events, and Lambda automatically handles the execution, basically scaling and fault tolerance. So you can pay for the compute time your functions consume, whatever the functions consume, and measured even in milliseconds also. Okay, let's say for example an S3 file upload can trigger a Lambda function to process the file. Okay, and the next question is, in your organization, which scenario you will suggest by using a Lambda? Okay, let's say I recommend Lambda when event driven tasks. Okay, let's say for processing a S3 file uploads, responding to DynamoDB changes, handling the API requests, and also let's say if we have a short-lived automation, we can clean up the scripts, health checkups, notification. This is some small time duration tasks. In this also we can refer. And also let's say if we have a low maintenance APIs, let's say if we wanted to integrate API gateway for a quick backend service. Okay, that is case also we can use. In one of the like real example, what I faced was in our project, we used a Lambda to resize the images uploaded to a S3 and store the optimized version in new bucket that triggered automatically. This is the task we have used a Lambda function. Okay, and do you have experience in coding language? Yeah, I do have a experience or comfortable in Python, where we have written the automation scripts for AWS both 3 integrations and Ansible filters. We have used shell scripting also for CI/CD pipeline steps for parsing and system checks also, and like Groovy and YAML also for pipeline management. Okay. And moving to the next question, in your organization, what is the nature of the application? Basically, nature in the sense, what exactly the, like whether is it a monolithic or microservice, what is the backend and front end, like that. Okay. In our current project, it is a microservice based application which is deployed in a target environment as Kubernetes. Okay, and the backend is REST API where Java, Spring Boot and Node.js, and the front end is React JS, and database we use was PostgreSQL and Redis, and the service communicate over the internal APIs via the service mesh, that is Istio we use. And yeah, this is the nature of the application in our current project. And moving to the next question, how will you handle a deployments in a virtual machine? What plugin would you use to integrate a Jenkins? What data center, with the data center? It is basically, let's say if you wanted to handle your deployments in your virtual machine, what exactly the Jenkins plugin you will use to integrate that into a data center to make the automated deployments. So for virtual machine deployments, we integrate a Jenkins with the on-prem infrastructure by using a SSH agent plugin, and Jenkins connects to the virtual machine, pulls or copies the artifacts, and runs a deployment scripts and restart the services. In some cases, we use Ansible as a middle layer between the Jenkins and the virtual machines for consistency or maintaining purpose. Okay, this is how it was communicating. And the next question was, what is VPC and why do we need the VPC? Basically, VPC is a virtual private cloud. It is an isolated network environment within a cloud provider, let's say AWS or any cloud provider, okay, where you control IP ranges and subnets, route tables, NAT gateways, and security groups. We need it for network isolation, for security purpose, and defining a public and private subnets. We can also control the inbound outbound traffic by using a VPC, and also we can let's say if we wanted to connect to an on-prem networks via the VPN or direct connect. In this particular case, VPC is like considered. Okay, and do you have hands-on experience in DevSecOps? Yeah, I think from here the second interviewer was came into picture. Yes, I do have hands-on experience in one of the project. I have integrated the security into the CI/CD by using a SAST tools like Snake, SonarQube, 45 for our code scanning, and Dashed for our apps Zap 45, and also check marks we have used for API testing, and for container image scanning with the help of Trivi, like before pushing the image into a Docker hub registry, we used to perform this. And for enforcing the Kubernetes network policies to restrict the like pod to pod communications, we use some kubesec. Okay, so it is, and also we used a cloud security posture management, cloud custodian as a tool. Basically, it will maintains a security posture among the cloud services, also whatever we are using. And the next question was, what is the difference between VAPT and SAST? Basically, VAPT is vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. It's an external and internal testing to find the vulnerabilities in running systems or networks or applications. It is more like black box or gray box testing, VAPT. Okay, and SAST is static application security testing. We are going to analyze a source code for or some binaries before it goes into a execution. Okay, to find some insecure coding practices or some vulnerabilities within the source code. It is like a white box testing. Okay, VAPT is black box and SAST is white box. Okay, and also it is comes under gray box also, black box or gray box. VAPT SAST is white box testing. That means we are performing on the code level. Okay, so the next question was, what is posture security management? Basically, it's the continuous evolution and improvement. Okay, like evolving, sorry, I'm not getting the exact word. Evaluate, we can say, right? So evaluation and like improvement of the cloud or some system security status. In cloud terms, we can say cloud security posture management, CSPM, like tools like Prisma Cloud, Aqua Security, or Cloud Custodian, where it will checks the misconfigurations. Let's say if we have a open S3 bucket or some weak IAM policies, And with the help of policies we can maintain them, and we can give a AWS console access, and that will perform. So let's say if you wanted to delete a virtual machines which is not in use for more than 30 days, okay, so we can obviously achieve that with the help of policy. And move to the next question. It's kind of big scenario based question. The thing was, let's say in a production environment, there are 5 applications running in a Kubernetes cluster. There are 10 nodes, and one application has 2 nodes. Okay, all nodes are running in a one cluster. Okay, all of a sudden you notice that there is a 5 nodes not there out of 10 nodes. That means only 5 nodes are running. What is the first step will you take? And in future, I mean, these are the like all the follow-up questions. What is the first step you will take in this particular case? In future, how will you handle such scenarios? What security measures will you enforce or ensure it doesn't happen again? Explain in a technical way by giving a example. And also he mentioned a note. Also Kubernetes cluster is running in a stateless manner. Okay, by using logs also we cannot check. That is the basically stateless meaning. Okay, so in this particular case, first step I can take was I can check the kubectl get nodes to confirm whether I mean what exactly the missing nodes. I get a confirmation on that, and I can check a kubectl described node and node name to see the if there is any there are if let's say if not ready, or let's say I can also review, okay, kubectl get events, and I mean that is the first step I will check. And for future handling purpose, in this particular scenario, I can implement a cluster autoscaler with health checks. I mean health checks. We can use a node trained or also we can use a pod disruption budgets to avoid a downtime. And the security measures I can consider was restricting the control plane access, and ensure the IAM least privileges rollback is followed for cluster operations, and use a audit logs to track a node deletions. Okay, so by that we'll get to know how, I mean what exactly is happening. And also by I mean maintaining and creating a dashboards also, we will get to know the events or logs will be triggered to there, and we can also get to know some metadata out of that. Okay, and yeah, I think these are the questions, and this is also a kind of good scenario based question. Okay, and he asked like have you done any certification in DevSecOps? Okay, I mean this is the first and one and only interview till now. The interviewer asked have you done any certification in DevSecOps? I haven't done any dedicated DevSecOps certification, but I have did a kind of AWS certification. I have AWS solution architect also, and solution architect also, and associate level I think. And I think in AWS I was maintaining 2 certificates, and in Azure also fundamental, and GCP also fundamental, and Git also I am maintaining 2 certificates. Okay, so I think I was the one who introduced the Git certificates in my team. Okay, there is no one with the certificate of Git. Okay, the thing was Git is launched a recent certificate in 2024 I think, when I was in last organization. They provided I mean it's a MNC company. They offered a kind of vouchers. Okay, if we clear the internal assessment they will provide you vouchers. That's how I got a voucher and cleared that certifications. Okay, many OCHERs is like helped me a lot. Okay, and whenever you are in such organizations, try to utilize the internal resources. Okay, especially this kind of OCHERs. Let's say if you are in kind of mid-sized or startup companies, they will give you OCHERs with some discount, some amount definitely you need to pay. But it's not the case in some MNCs companies. In some companies, they may provide in startups also, like 100% free vouchers. But in very rare cases, okay, at least some amount you need to pay, or else they will deduct from your salary. Okay, so if you have that like feasibility, if you are in MNC, you haven't explored, try to explore that and do a certification. Okay, why? Because it will be helpful in your future also in this case of interviews. Okay, and in some cases, they in the job description only they will mention if you have a CKE certificate, that is Kubernetes certified associate. So that is kind of added advantage at that time. Okay, and the next question was, what is Azure EDR? To be frank, I was not sure about that, but I was just a kind of idea on that. Okay, so basically Azure EDR refers to a EDR is basically a EDR, endpoint defender. EDR, endpoint defender. I think, to be frank, I was not sure about that. And after completing this interview, I was gone through that, like easy, like what exactly the EDR. Yeah, I mean, it basically EDR provides some endpoint detection and response, some advanced threat hunting and incident response capabilities for service. I mean, servers, virtual machines, or some endpoints in Azure service also. Okay, that is basically Azure EDR. Okay, and in an organization, you wanted to do an end-to-end security assessment in the cloud. How will you do, and what are all the tools you will use? It is also a kind of a big scenario question. Okay, to be frank, it is kind of a one page, almost half to one page question. Okay, so I haven't noted down the like entire. He explained the like complete architecture of the project. In this particular case, how do you do the end-to-end security assessment in the cloud, and what tools will you use to achieve this basically? Okay, so to be a kind of a time constraint or space constraint, I haven't included that in this particular thing. Okay, in this particular case, I can take some steps like some posture assessment. We can use cloud security posture assessment tools like by using Prisma Cloud, Cloud Custodian. Okay, and we can perform a identity and access review by analyzing the IAM analysis with the least privileges enforcement, and network security testing. We can run the VAPT on public endpoints, and we'll check the firewall rules also, and code security by performing the SAST and DAST scan in the CI/CD pipeline, and we can also do the runtime protection, like Aqua Security, okay, Falco. These are the some runtime protection tools. Okay, and complaints scans we can use. I'm not sure about the tools. A Prowler, I know one of the tool where it will maintain CIS benchmark checks for compliance scans. Okay, this is how we can achieve. I mean, I answered in the same way, like on an high level. By using these tools and technologies, we can achieve in each and every phases. And there is no dedicated one tool or single resource to achieve this. Okay, I also said the same thing in the interview. And moving to the next question, what is white box testing, black box testing, gray box testing, and why these are required? I think one of the question we covered regarding the VAPT and SAST. VAPT is black box and gray box covers. SAST is white box testing. Yeah, coming to here, white box, it will test, basically a tester has a full knowledge of the system, code and architecture, everything. Okay, in that case, white box testing will be used, and it is basically used for deep code analysis by using a SAST. Okay, here SAST will come into picture. Okay, so if we talk about a black box testing, where the tester knows nothing about the internal working like code or architecture, anything. Okay, blindly he was a black box. In the name itself it will specify only the input output behavior he knows. In that particular case we can use a VAPT. Okay, black box VAPT. Here SAST, here VAPT. And as for mimicking external attackers, we use the black box. Okay, and coming to the gray box, where the tester has a potential knowledge such as network diagrams or limited credentials, balances and scope. Okay, for this we use. Basically, these tests are required to cover all the security perspectives, like some internal insider threats or some external attack threats and some potential compromise scenarios. In that case, it will be helpful. And at the end, he asked some questions, like basic questions. What is your current organization? What is your current CTC? Are you okay to relocate to the another location? Do you have any questions? Basically, I used to ask about the project and the team overview, what exactly the domain of the project, and he explained clearly the end-to-end project also. Okay, and they do have a dedicated product also. Okay, so they are looking for a candidate who have knowledge on deployment management and security management and all the tools whatever discussed in the interview. They are, this is their requirement actually. Okay, and yeah, I think the conversation went well, and I think so we'll get a further more update on this. I will definitely share further more in the upcoming like videos. Okay, so yeah, I think till now these are the questions or responses till we have gathered. And yeah, if you are preparing for interviews, be prepared for kind of scenarios also. Why? Because they expect, let's say if you are around 3 years or 4 years, definitely they were more into scenario based question instead of asking a direct like commands or one liner answers. Okay, they will more focus on scenarios. Okay, so at that time you need to understand the scenario first of all, and the answer might be simple or a simple command only, but how you are putting or understanding that first and telling the answer, that is the key aspect here. Okay, so try to focus on that. And yeah, obviously if you are preparing, all the best for your future, and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you.